The Saturday Night Soul Session Live with me, LC, and you. And I'm super grateful as always to be getting to show up here another Saturday night and just spend time in the energy of you and to get to share um, from the heart and talk to people that are also in a healing journey. So, no matter why you're here, whether you are in a place of substance use recovery or food recovery or just just a recovery, just a healing, just traumatic healing, whatever you're here for, welcome to be here. This is an amazing space and I appreciate it so much. I titled this video tonight, I titled this video Ah, it's hard for me to remember because I have so many other things in mind, but it's basically, have we become identified with our trauma? Have we become so engulfed in our trauma that we have built an identity, we've become identified with it. And I did that before I was able to confirm some things about some other things I want to share tonight. So tonight's going to be just a little bit different because usually I like to put together a fairly polished, a product when it comes to my digital things. But I'm away from home. This laptop is, it doesn't work well with me. We don't play well together. So it's going to be a little bit unpolished. But I wanted to talk about a young man, and I want to talk about this attack on our citizens with this fentanyl, and I want to talk about loss and moving through that, and how maybe we as people that are living in recovery and those that have lived in losing people, all of us in the grand scheme of everything that's happening in the world right now, especially with this fentanyl attack, it is so much vital. It's so vital right now that we more than ever, come together and try to surround each other in the energy of healing, because in reality, that's what we're all doing. And this loss, especially of this young man that we're going to talk about in just a few couple minutes, this young man hits a little closer to home for me. I'm kind of separated from some things, and so I'm not always present with the true massive danger that this truly is. And I really am grateful for organizations and people, like Facing Fentanyl and Andrea Thomas and Mike Fiore and all that they do in the talking more to people, younger people, about the power of what this is. My generation got to overdose. Unfortunately, this generation, for the most part, just gets poisoned. And that's where we have to make that drastic distinction, because if we keep calling it overdose, it's going to keep, getting swept under the rug. And so I admire all of these organizations, and I know there are many others out there other than Facing Fentanyl, but those two humans, we've had them on the show before. So if you want to learn more about fentanyl and the statistics and what all they're doing, there is an episode on our YouTube channel, and I think even in the LC Recovery playlist, on Facebook, that has that episode with them. It's very staggering what's happening. So I want to talk about this. I think it is going to lead directly where it's going to lead. Sometimes I show up here with a plan, and we just got to let the energy move through like it's supposed to, because as you all show up as well, even when people watch it on the replay, it contributes more as well. But as more people show up, then we have more energy that is contributing, to what is absolutely necessary to be heard. And that's how I love doing these live videos, because it's like you get it then. I've done it with the script, and I've done all that stuff too, and it's got its place, but it just wasn't quite the fit for me. And so I love doing this. So as you all come in, come in with your energy, and we'll talk about some good stuff tonight. We're gonna talk a little bit about Jeremy Kale, and a bit of his story, and a bit of how his family's feeling right now, and we're going to talk about moving through and healing energy as well. So I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful for people that will watch this on the replay. If you're brand new to Recovery Soul Food, well, you might have already figured out what we are, but this is a conscious recovery and healing space. This is I want to get to the roots. It wasn't enough for me to spend 22 years running for myself, keeping myself small, staying numb, being in that constant loop of shame and guilt and of the addiction. It wasn't enough for me, when I came to that place, to try to just get clean and sober again. So I dove into the root. What's the root? What continuously, what are the voids that I'm trying to fill by staying numb? What are the things I'm afraid to feel? What are the things I'm afraid to accept or let go of? And so that's been part of my journey, and that's about what I share on this channel. So if you're new here, thanks for being new. Please consider doing the stuff, the subscribe, all the stuff, and I don't have to tell you, it's every day. And I appreciate it because it helps us grow a little bit. And I used to do a lot on this channel, and I don't have the same type of life kind of. Many things have changed, so I don't get to do that as much. So I really value getting to come here and spend time with you. So I'm going to stop talking. We're going to get into this. It's Saturday night, Soul Sessions live with me, LC, and you, and let's go.
3, 2, 1, 0.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What is up? There's such a lag on this computer. I hope that we're coming across okay. We're live on 6, 7 platforms at once. So I want to say hey to everybody who's watching everywhere on Facebook and Twitter, Recovery Revolution page. What's up, y'all? Happy birthday, JR, the GOAT, the Recovery GOAT, and a couple YouTube channels and Twitter. So I I don't I don't often, get on Facebook a lot, too much anymore. I stepped kind of away from the energy that I felt like was kind of where it was controlling when it got to be obsessive, and I stepped away to do some self work and stuff. And so I randomly get on, and so I got on the other day, and I somehow saw a friend's post, from earlier in the year, and she was expressing, sadness of the loss of her younger brother. I, and it was in January, and, I felt, I just, it just shattered me. It just shattered me. I knew that their brother Jeremy was, had some substance use issues with the opiates, and so, but I also had known that he was getting in recovery, and the last I'd heard, he was doing real well, and he reached out to me in late last year. And I it was really hard to gauge, and I think maybe that's the downfall of text. Everything is a polarity. Everything has, its positive and negative sides. It's great that there's always somebody that we can text. And then at the same time, sometimes it's harder to see where people are in a text, versus what they say. And so, finding out that he had passed, and that it had been methamphetamine laced with fentanyl. It was very important for me to make sure that that I was able, because I reached out to the family, and I we kind of grew up together. Their house was an amazing house, a very safe place for me to go. It was very important to me at that time of my life, and I was good friends with their daughters, and their mom was tremendous, and their little brother was just, he was a good kid, a good-hearted kid, great father, and just all the things. And so I was hesitant to reach out because I didn't want to, step out of the way. And so finding out the response, of what happened, it was almost like I could see the scenario in my mind. And all of a sudden it became very important for me to express that this wasn't, an overdose, because overdose implies that someone just uses and uses and uses and uses until their body gives out, or, that this anytime fentanyl's involved, overdose is off the table. The bottom line is we should be coaching people back from relapses versus burying more people. And I just see this, you know, seeing the family, and knowing of them, it just hurts my heart because we get to experience what the families left here asking, their askings of, well, why, like there's no way to answer why. There's no reason that you can give because this disorder, this, I dread to even make labels on it, call it diseases and stuff. This thing, that we suffer with at times, this thing that plagues us, this thing that, takes over sometimes, that thing makes no sense. That part of it makes no sense. And, you know, it's natural to be angry and feel like, there's choices, and there are, and I think that's part of how we own that they are our choices. Ultimately, they come back to us and our choices that we make. And it's, I think that it's okay for people in that situation to be angry, that we should make it wrong to be angry, because making it wrong to be angry in that sense somehow makes us wrong, and it just makes the pain deeper. And it breaks my heart to really, you know, hear how prevalent this is. It was like I said in the beginning, my generation got to overdose. This generation, this is different. And I'll say again, I'm so grateful for organizations like, Facing Fentanyl. And I know so well that there are other people that do that. And I'm not calling you out. I just don't know who you are. And what does the family do? And I think this is the beautiful part of this recovery community, because it's grown and blossomed in a way that there are these amazing groups of parents that have, lost loved ones, that, if any of you know of any, or watch this and are a part of one, please, drop it drop it in the comments so I can pass it along to this family, because I think it's important for them to also educate themselves on what this truly is, because overdose carries such a negative weight. Not that poisoning doesn't, but I think that if anyone who has lost their life to, fentanyl poisoning, I think of anything, if they could say anything, it would be, I'm sorry. It would be, I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't mean to leave you here. I didn't mean to leave y'all here. And it's true. And it scares me in a way that young people don't really get the opportunity to experiment the way that maybe young people in my day did, and that seems almost like this natural thing that wants to occur. And so I admire the families that are sharing their stories about their loved ones. I admire the people that, have come together with this recovery community where we've embraced each other to be able to wrap our arms around each other and help us through these times, and be able to open ourselves to the experience on either side, because sometimes we get lost in the one lost, and we don't always step back and take care of the families. I remember something that stuck with me so deeply. Um, at one of the first speaking engagements, I spoke with a woman who had lost her son. She spoke there that night, and she was writing a book, or she had written something. And she said, or it was in her speech, and she said, "Nobody brings casseroles when your son dies of an overdose. They avoid you like the plague." And that really hit hard for me because I never had the opportunity to see that point of view. And it's so true. And so these families, they've been told their family member has overdosed, and they have all of these belief systems and ideas around what that means, and it just hurts them to the core. And so we need that perspective in our community as well. It helps for them to share that perspective when they get the opportunity, of course, if they're comfortable, but when they get the opportunity, because we don't ever know what we may say or do, an action or a way we present, that could really, truly minister to somebody else's life. And I just think when we feel the nudging, we should just take the opportunity, take the leap. This world needs much more of people willing to take a leap into love and understanding, expansion, and opening their hearts and their minds to other human beings, regardless of the ability for transaction, and just be more, be more in our true selves and help take care of each other. And that really can jump into the way that, in taking care of each other, we're taking care of each other's mental and emotional health. And if you are in a substance use recovery space, or any recovery space, any addiction recovery space, it is so vitally important for you to take care of your mental health. I mean, stay on top of it, guard it with your life. Guard it with your life, because good mental health really starts to lend itself to good emotional health, and good emotional health really starts to lend itself to good physical health, and the cycle just continues. And it's less likely that you may find yourself in a position where overwhelm does take over. See, I used to use a lot of excuses when I was using, because I had these trauma attachments. I had these attachments to my trauma that was, very negative in nature, and allowed me to identify as this total victim in so many different aspects and areas. It helped me hate and shame my body, and it helped me, just it helped me use. And I would use that identity to that trauma as my excuse to use. And I'm not afraid to say that, because I share real here, because in order to really start to get better and to heal better, we got to get honest with ourselves. And so holding on to that was a manipulation tool in some ways at some times, and it was just also a way to keep myself feeling like shit, so that my brain would keep running after that numbness, and the cycle would continue. And it was it was so powerful for me, and I think I was probably in year 3 of recovery, because I've only been in recovery once. Y'all know that if you've been here before. I've only been in recovery once. I've been clean and sober several times, but I've only been in recovery once, because I started healing at those roots, and those identities were some of the first things to start to be identified. This thing doesn't go away overnight. People don't just get better overnight. This is an ongoing process, and recovery is an ongoing process. And there are some slips and falls along the way. But again, we go back to Jeremy and realize that this is not an error where it's always safe to have those trips and falls. And so I just want to get the point across that the healing is not easy, and the healing is so necessary. And if we get this part of the healing part, then we are giving ourselves a much greater chance of truly coming to a place of understanding who we truly are. And it really, to me, it's just all healing. It's all healing. And it breaks my heart. Truly wish that we were coaching Jeremy back from a relapse. And so, you know, it's it's hard for me not to talk about this in very much passion, because I just am so it's enough already. Like I'm tired of watching all of this negativity take over in ways. And so I want to be here and be a space for people to rise up in their own unique energy. And I'm not even talking about their outsides, I'm talking about their insides, of a knowing of who we truly are as human beings, a knowing of our possibilities, because it's our limits that keep us sick and suffering. It's our want to go to a different level, but somewhere inside of us believing that we cannot, and everything that is. Because those are the things that I felt like just kept me tied to those identities around that trauma. Who will I be if I'm not the screwed up, addicted, junkie mess, the one that nobody wants around? All the stories were playing out. All the stories were playing out. I'm weak, vulnerable, and nobody loves me, and my family hates me, and I can't stop myself from doing this, and I was just made crazy, and why, and all of that. And that was the identity, and that became my personal reality, because if that's the only question I'm asking, it's got to answer. And 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 who was I going to be without that? I looked at the shiny, happy people that were in recovery, and I didn't have a vision for myself that way, because I just didn't think it was possible. It's the same old thing we all think. Yeah, but you don't know how far gone I am. We all think that. We do, because we make that so special. We make that so special, and it becomes a part of a compartment of that identity to that traumatized person. And so we make that part special. And once again, we we keep going and we keep going. And so in shattering those identities to that trauma, and our life playing it out in front of us, you know, we could do something that would be so simple, to start asking different questions. And so I remember the powerful moment that I've shared about many times, where I learned about forgiveness, that it was an energy release for me, that it was like the moment I was just sitting in that chair, realizing how much power I was given to that story. And at the same time realizing and questioning myself after another friend, I'd found out another friend had died several years ago, and having that, this question of why couldn't he ever overcome? He was so talented, he was all of that stuff. And then I realized, while I was saying that in that moment about him, that I started saying that about myself. And I kept, that question was, why am I still here and he's not? And I just became very interested in figuring that out. I had come so close to the brink of death so many times that I thought, why not see what this life has for me? And in realizing in the moment that the thing that was keeping me down the most was the identity to that trauma that I had. I couldn't get past the God's little joke belief system. And I realized just in this moment that I had a choice, that I could keep carrying it in that way and giving it my power and putting my body through those incidences every single time because the brain don't know the difference. So it's releasing, it's like it's happening and it's happening and it's happening. It's training our nervous system and things just go wild from there. And beginning to let that go, realizing I had a choice in the moment was very powerful. And I knew in that moment that I was really on to something, that there was possible that I could live without that identity. And I started doing the things. Y'all know it's corny and cheesy every time I say it, but gratitude saved my life, and gratitude takes grit. It takes grit. It takes grit to stay in a gratitude process, or exercise, or whatever you want to call it. Just it takes grit to stay in gratitude when you're still living so firmly to from the perception of that identity, that those beliefs. It's hard to do. So it's going to take grit for you to begin to open yourself to the magical amazingness of gratitude, because it does start to shift your perspective in these subtle little ways. And there is so much more that's available now in ways to help you release trauma, from body work and breath work to access consciousness and bars and ESC and all of Dr. Dane's stuff. The 15 days for $15, the real great reset is still going on. It's halfway in between, and it's just been amazing and releasing. And it's amazing that it's a program that you don't have to work to do anything. You don't have to work to receive it. You don't have to really do anything. You just have to be in the energy, see what comes up, and let the energy really move you. I highly suggest that. I hope to get Dr. Dane on the podcast one day, because I think that this is such an amazing gift that could be given to the recovery community, because again, this is vital. This is dangerous for people to be out there, and if we can start to gather in modalities, not judge each other for the way we recover and keep ourselves well, but just continue to mix up so many amazing healing modalities together, that because it's more vital than ever for you to take care of yourself and do this healing in a maybe a faster pace. I don't even know if that's possible, but a faster pace than drudging along, holding on to stuff. If you get a hold of something that really helps you, then hold on to that, please, and let it just continue to help you grow and expand and just live and be all that you are in the world, because that's what you're here for. And anything less than that is just not enough for you. Like we're meant for so much more. And it's uncovering the layers and getting to the places that keep us wanting to harm ourselves in that way, because addictions harm us. And we have them in there because we treat our bodies the way we feel about ourselves emotionally. And so if we can work on healing that, and we can continue to tell our stories or try to help in the community all that we can to raise awareness about the power and the dangerousness of fentanyl, and how we can stop this attack together. And that's what it feels like, is a true attack. And I send all my love to the Kale family, and my heart cannot surround you enough in trying to answer these questions. And if you all have any kind of resources or a specific group for parents that are healing, and I like some, grief and loss for people. People that's been lost to substance use, but then also if there are some specific, lost to fentanyl groups or resources available, if you all would drop those in the chat or DM me on Instagram at recovery_soul food and let me know those so I can pass those along. Now it's on them. Now it's on them to heal and try to, you know, and embrace all that I guess this is, and now they're gonna have to heal. And if we can help them do that in any way as the recovery community, I would be so grateful. So I appreciate you all for being here. My computer is so messed up. I see we have comments, but I can't actually see the comments. I'm gonna see if I can. What's up, Marty? Hey, Aubrey, Unicorn. Greatest unicorn on earth. Hey, Christine Cohen. Thanks for y'all for being here, and even all three of you. I love you. But this is out everywhere, so I don't get to see all the comments everywhere. So if I did not say hey to you, then hey, thanks for sticking with me this far. And if you like long form content that helps you grow and expand, you just come and do this thing with me, then hey, do all the stuff, like, share, subscribe, do the stuff. All the stuff, everything I need you to do is in the description box below. So if you'll read that and just help us grow our message, or just keep showing up. I really appreciate you anyway. I don't really care if it is three of you. I really love being able to release in this way. This is definitely a co-creation for all of us. So I'm going to see you all next week. I won't be live next week because I have the amazing Tandy Gutierrez coming on the show, and I just southern butchered that name, but she's the most amazing unicorn. She is so awesome. She has a Unicorn Wellness Studio, and she is at Unicorn Wellness on Instagram. She is just, I want her to come and talk to us about how movement can help work through trapped trauma and energy in the body, and how that can really relate to the addiction recovery process, and how that can really help us on our journey to be able to lean into full mind, body, and spirit healing. I'm doing it. I'm getting there. Like, I'm really looking after my body this year, and I've got a great resource in my unicorn buddy Aubrey, who's helping me do that. MarketAmericaShop.com, Access Consciousness. I'm surrounded in gifts, man. I'm surrounded in gifts, and I'm so grateful to be able to celebrate them and be in a place where I can receive them. And so, wherever you are in the world today, receive the blessings that are around you, and you can start to do that with gratitude. I promise you it'll change your life. Do it, do it, do it. All right. Until next week, you're going to join me with the amazing Tandy Gutierrez. And until then, have an amazing, amazing week. I love you guys, and I'll see you then. Bye.